Greetings and welcome. Today our objective for today is to have an introduction of the novel Animal Farm. This is a very interesting novel. One of the, if, if you seek out of the list of novels that you must read before you die, Animal Farm will come. Normally, they do this list, the 100 novels that you need to read before you die. Animal Farm, from George Orwell, will come into that picture of those novels that we need to read. Um, it's all part of perception and the likings of the person. Uh, Remember that this list is not out of the overall opinion of everyone. So I believe it's more a subjective opinion rather than an objective opinion. In my case, as an educator, if you ask me if this novel will be a novel that I will recommend for people to read, well, yeah. It's a novel constructed in a way. George Orwell, what he wanted it to portray with this novel was to have a better explanation and for people to have a better understanding of the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. This revolution, remember countries around the world, when they experience independence, that independence eventually it's gonna come by the means of a revolution. Independence is not gonna come. They're gonna give you the independence because you guys are. We love you guys. No, typically you have to. There's a lot of blood shed around and a lot of suffering. A lot of sweat, a lot of tears dropped to achieve the ultimate goal, that is a revolution. Now, one thing that we need to keep in mind is a country better off before the revolution or after the revolution? That's something that you could just go out throughout history, and it's going to generate a lot of debate because for a lot of people, countries are better before the revolution, and for others, countries are better after the revolution. So it all depends. We don't know if the government that was before it was more oppressive than the one coming out. We don't know that. But those are the chances that people take, that countries take every time they go into a revolution. With all of this said, the government that was in this Bolshevik revolution, this happened in Russia, and the government that we had was that they had, not we, that they had, was totalitarian, was oppressive, was deadly, and the there's a group that it was gathering to create this breakout, this revolution. Very important, George Orwell will use Manor Farm as a representation of Russia. So Manor Farm, this is important for you guys to know before we begin reading. So that's why I'm making this introductory video way before we begin reading. We'll begin the discussion of Animal Farm because you need to know that so many of the characters, of the principal characters, for example, Mr. Jones, Snowball, Old Major, Napoleon, they will represent the major figures of that Bolshevik party. That's why it's called a Bolshevik Revolution, because it was done by the Bolshevik party. So at the time of the revolution, we had an emperor. It was the last emperor. His name was Romanov Tsar Nicholas II. And his reign is going to take from 1868 all the way to 1917. That is the year of the revolution. And as the Tsar ascended to the throne, he became more and more corrupt. That's the thing that I'm telling you about the revolution. Are those leaders more corrupted? Is the country better off with those new leaders or not? It is subject of a lot of debate. Now, the Tsar became even more oppressive than before. And one of the things that is going to be one of those sparks to the anger of the people, it's going to be the Manchuria, the situation in Manchuria. We had the Russo-Japanese War. It happened around 1904. That's going to build up the tension, and it's going to continue to build up tension up to the 17, because for a lot of people in Russia, it was a stupid war, a war that was unnecessary. Another debate that generates war: is war necessary or not? It's a debatable point, and but nothing. The thing is that it will bring a lot of tension. Now, we have a figure that it will emerge, and that figure is the figure of Vladimir Lenin. And Vladimir Lenin will gather forces to form a rebellion, a socialist rebellion. This will be a socialist rebellion, and the aiming, the target of the gathering of forces by Vladimir Lenin, it will be to ultimately dethrone the Tsar. If we go to Animal Farm, the animal that will represent the Vladimir Lenin will be Old Major. Old Major will represent Vladimir Lenin. So you're going to see the connections. It's very important because things that are going to happen in Animal Farm are going to be very similar to the things that are going to happen after the revolution, but in this case, through the sense of animals. So a group of workers, it's going to go and have a strike at the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. And Georgy Apollonovich Gapon will lead the march against the Tsar. This march it's going to be one of the marches that are going to be transcendental in the time. And he says the point, this is useless what the Tsar is doing. Nothing. The thing is that the imperial forces at the time, they will open fire against those people, killing a bunch of people. And every time something happened, it led up to the boiling and the anger of the people. And in a way, it was fuel to the engine of the Bolshevik revolution. It was an engine for the mindset of Vladimir Lenin. Like Vladimir Lenin, in a way, he's going to be like, we need to continue gathering our forces. We need to continue moving forward, and the mindset of Lenin, we're not going to stop until we take down the Tsar. We need a better situation for our people. So basically, the unwillingness of the regime to just change for the betterment of the people, well, it continued to fuel. Um, and Vladimir Lenin, who was Vladimir Lenin? Well, in short words, the founder of the Russian uh, Communist Party. He was the leader, the main leader of the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, and he was the architect and the builder of the Soviet Union. He will be the mastermind who will begin to build what through the history was known as the Soviet Union. And we know that eventually Soviet Union and the United States, they had a huge clash, particularly in the Cold War that began immediately after World War II, 1945, and it just transpired until the destruction and demolition of the one of the main symbols of this um, Cold War, that was the Berlin Wall. Um, the losing of men in the war was another factor that was of high impact here. So basically, Old Major in the novel Animal Farm will have the representation of that later. So Old Major is going to be the architect of the revolution that we're going to see in Animal Farm. That we ultimately are going to see. We're going to see that gathering in chapter 1 of the novel. Um, Very important, the the flag of the Soviet Union. We have the hammer and the sickle, and they represent agriculture. It's the use of agriculture, and you're gonna see that hammer and the sickle in the banner of the Soviet Union. Ironically, you're gonna see a banner in Animal Farm with a horn and a hoof. And remember, we're working with animals. Now we have a new character in this revolution. His name is Leon Trotsky, and Leon Trotsky is going to be represented in Animal Farm by Snowball, and Joseph Stalin will be represented in the novel Animal Farm as Napoleon. Stalin, after Lenin is out, Stalin will be the one leading the pact, and Stalin is going to be a humongous figure in the Soviet Union per se. Um, Trotsky was more as the war leader, the leader of the army. So when Lenin is out, um, and then we have Stalin, Trotsky and Stalin will have problems because of power, and eventually Stalin will eliminate uh, Trotsky out of the picture, and then we're gonna have Stalin alone working through this is after the revolution. So if I'm already telling you that this is a conflict between Stalin and Trotsky, and Stalin represents Napoleon, and Trotsky represents Snowball, automatically, if you start connecting the dots, if in real life we have the problem, then there's a good chance that we're going to have problems in the novel between Napoleon, um, and Snowball. So basically, um, the dogs of Napoleon, the dogs are gonna come later on. Those dogs will represent what the Soviet Union had as the KGB. That was the special intelligence the for the Soviet Union. So this KGB is going to be represented in Animal Farm as the dogs. So very important when you have something going. Um, Something is very important. You need propaganda, and how is propaganda will be done in Animal Farm? That propaganda is going to be done through Squealer. Squealer will be the one doing the propaganda. So I'm telling you right away, Old Major, important character. Mr. Jones, important character. Mr. Jones will be the Tsar, Nicholas. Old Major will be Lenin. Napoleon will be Stalin. Snowball will be Trotsky. And Squealer will represent the propaganda of the leading. A bunch of things are going to unravel after the revolution. Also, we're going to have that revolution in the novel Animal Farm. And as we go along, we will see that once you get to the top, people are going to go after your head. And in some cases, people inside. What will you do to continue oppressing people? I want you guys to go back to Macbeth, to Antigone, to Oedipus, and just go back and connect. What is similar? What did these people do to oppress their leaders? I mean, their people. These leaders are gonna oppress their people, and what strategies they're gonna use to oppress their people. So nothing. You guys have things to think about. And in our next video, we're gonna cover chapter 1 and 2 of the novel Animal Farm, and we're gonna see how this revolution, how this emergence of the representation of the Bolshevik leaders will come in the novel Animal Farm. How will Old Major emerge, if indeed he will emerge, and what role will the rest of the leaders have as the novel continues to transpire. So nothing. Stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be part number 1. I'm going to go in detail with what happened with the revolution in Animal Farm. How the animals will rebel. In this case, animals will rebel against humans. What human? Mr. Jones. Stay tuned for that rebellion and for interesting events that will unfold in chapters 1 and 2 of the novel Animal Farm. See you guys in the next video.